Hey, welcome back, everyone. Today I've got Kingshuk Mukherjee, a business professor at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University in Minnesota. And he's going to talk about his life, his background, and everything about being a business professor. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Ben. Good to
How,
get connected with you.
yes.
And it's a cold morning from Minnesota, the day before Thanksgiving. I'm talking to you from my university office at St. John's University in
Yes.
beautiful Collegeville, right here. And it's a pleasure to connect with you, Vin. And I'm looking forward for our discussion. I'm the chair of the Global Business Leadership Department here. I also hold endowed chair of Ralph Cross Chair of Business and Liberal Arts.
Hmm.
And I'm the president and founder of a textile company, Global Impacts USA, along with a couple of its other corporations, which is part of Global Impacts.
Okay. Well, look forward to hearing all about it. So, I was thinking about our relationship because I've never had you as a professor, but we have this unique connection and we always stay in touch. And I recall that in about 2015, I would go back to the Minnesota Trade Office events and I saw the name Professor Kingshuk and then College of St. Benedict St. John's University. I was like, oh, this is an interesting person. I've never met him, but he's from my university. And I think that's kind of what led down to the, wanting to connect with you and seeking you out.
Yes, definitely. And I also remember we invited you to for a global panel participation for one of our career expo in St. Benedict University, where we will do this annual event, calling companies, calling our alums, and we do these panels on,
Right.
and you were one of the participant in of doing business internationally. And ever
Yes.
since we have connected many times in different projects, including when you were going for your journey of the world. We sat down in Metropolitan State University, and then we did a little interview at that time.
Wow, you have a good memory. Yeah, and you were one of the few first people. I was just starting the podcast. I felt it was a good way to record and share these stories to the rest of the world. So thank you for that. All right, so let's get maybe about your journey because I think you're of Indian descent,
Sure.
and then I want to hear how you made that transition from India to the United States, and then why Minnesota in that case.
Yes, that's a good journey and quite a journey when I look back. So I was born in Mother Teresa City in Calcutta, India,
Ah,
and I went to a Catholic school like St. John's here, which is St. Xavier's. From there, I went to England in Coventry University in Central England in Birmingham, where I did my college and my graduate studies. And at 23, I got recruited to teach in one of the British-based university, De Montfort University in Leicester. So I was doing that for a couple of years, and I was reading one of the students' paper they wrote in textile industry. At the same time, I felt a little restless that I was teaching, but I was teaching cases which is on the textbook.
right.
There was an itch in me which was telling me, hey, I need to get to the real world. So an opportunity came to be a sales manager for a textile company through one of a mutual contract and a network. And then I didn't think much. I said, okay, I'm leaving the university. I'll go to LA to sell textiles. I did
Mm,
not knew T of textiles, but I started off and I used to sit with one of these company owners. Everybody feared him in his office next to him, but he taught me a lot. He didn't even finish his high school.
mm.
So that was an incredible experience, incredible discipline. I was 25 years old in city of LA. It was great, but my early working hours were incredible. I'll call the US customers from 8:30 in the morning till 5, 6, and then I will wake up in the night and make some calls to Europe. And I was focusing mainly on the art and craft business and selling these art and crafts, canvases, and products to around the world by sitting in LA and also domestically. And we used to have an association called as NAMTA. It still exists, National Art Trade Material Association. So I'll start going to the trade show. Then at a young age, I did a trip to Southeast Asia from Hong Kong to Taipei to all the Asian countries during some trade shows and to meet customers, South Korea too. And then in 2004 or 5, the company merged with the company in Charleston in South Carolina. I moved to the Carolinas. I stayed there till 2007 and 8. 2008, I moved to Minnesota with my corporate job. I was getting a little restless by working from home when working from home was not a big deal at the time. And then, so I started teaching one class in supply chain, which was called as operations, from 2008 in College of St. John's and in College of St. Benedict and St. John's University. I was managing both. And eventually an opportunity came in which I finally got into the tenure track and a full-time position from 2010-11, and ever since I have been able to do both. In 2010, I formed my first textile company, Prestige Impex, which we did $10 million sales in 6 years. 2017, I was with 2 of my partners who were my former colleagues. I sold my shares that were Atlanta-based and moved everything to my portion of the business to Minnesota into 2018. That's when I started Global Impacts. At the same time, the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis, so we started a clothing company too. We launched, called as Guild Apparel, launched during the time of the Super Bowl. And then I invited one of my old professor of St. John's, Bob Gazik, to join as partners in the business. And ever since, I have been doing both. And last couple of years, I took over the head of the business side here and have been trying to promote internationalization, global thinking, hands-on practical experiences, and leadership within our business department, which is the largest department now in College of St. Benedict, St. John's. It has always been one of the largest, but we're doing a lot of cool things. In January 3rd, I'm taking this group of students to Mumbai and Pune and Goa in India, and it is a part of a course we have named is Embedded, in which 2 months they are in campus learning and working about India and working with our partner students in India, and then we start the travel for 2.5 weeks on January the 3rd. So I'm always looking to do something, a little bit innovative, a little bit different to keep the excitement going.
Wow, so you have your hands in a lot of different things. And that's amazing. You got the teaching aspect, you've got the real world running the business, and then you've got the India, the study abroad, working abroad. That's amazing. That's great to see.
Yeah, I will have an advice to people. Don't follow my first step. It's too many things juggling. So it's like a lot of work. But at the same time, I do enjoy life. I take time off. Last 18 months, I've traveled 3-4 times to Europe, twice to India. I went to Colombia, which was the first time for 4 days during the spring break. So you got to take your mind off, because we do all these things to mind. Also, what do you eat? And we are not getting younger. Hopefully we would like that. So you got to take proper rest, eat proper well, maintain a schedule. At the same time, take a break. Otherwise, it won't be possible to do, a lot of things at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, interesting. So I know I graduated from the business department in 1998, so it was a little bit before your time. And I know the majors has changed to global business major.
Okay.
And maybe you can talk about some of the different aspects and how the program has changed or what you've seen throughout the years.
Yes, so that's a very good question. And when I started in 2007-8 in St. John's University, it was still a management major. I used to teach in the management major, and then in 2011 onwards, we did a program review and changed the major to global business leadership. Some aspects of the old management major still remains, like the fundamentals of functional areas of business, but what we have done is and then again we did some changes in 2020, where we brought some specialization. Now, global business leadership, you can specialize in marketing, in supply chain, in nonprofit and social innovation, along with a general business degree if you want. So over these course of 17 years, I've seen from management to global business and global business with concentrations. The fundamentals have remained the same. As I took over the chair of the department, where I'm pushing is more hands-on experience, where the students actually in the capstone project work with real companies, with real projects for their last 6 weeks. Internships is a signature piece of our program, which was there as part of management program too. So that signature piece is still there, and it's a high practice program. Third is all the leadership opportunities which students have through Benny's in Business, so Entrepreneurship Club, to all others is great, which is helping them to build the leadership skills. And since we are focused on it's a global business, so we have started a program in which 60 of our supply chain students work for a month-long project virtually with 60 students in India. We call it Global Classroom, and then the present and do a paper together. So we are moving the department more to global engagement. My goal and dream is to have each and every student in 541 majors we have to have some kind of global experience, be it study abroad semester in London or in Japan or in Argentina or in South Africa, to short-term embedded program. I'm doing it in India. My colleague is doing next May in Munich, Germany. It's a sports marketing program. Other professor is doing in Bahamas, in which they're doing 2 months here and a trip during the break. Plus, we have all these virtual global classrooms. So the program has changed in terms of not in terms of its the value which incorporates, but more like bringing in more stuff and making students more aware of the real world, the global world, and developing leadership throughout the curriculum.
Yeah, I think that that global experience is so important, especially during your collegiate years. I think I studied abroad in France, and that was just eye-opening, just to be in Europe, and then just to be exposed to different cultures and languages, and then to travel in that part of the region. And so that really, really expanded my mind. So I think it's so important, the work that you do and others.
Yeah, and that's what it is. We tell to our students, especially since you are our alum, we are a private liberal arts school. We're not just trying to give a degree. We're trying to make model citizens once they graduate, as I say. Here from the bubble to jungle, this beautiful campus with beautiful lake, a lot of woods. It's very serene, and it's just an hour from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. So when you not only get an education, and not only you get other areas of education, not just business, your philosophy, your history, your languages, your sciences, because it's a liberal arts program, that when you get out of here and go to the jungle, as I say, from bubble to jungle, you're really prepared, and you take a leadership role. And we say to our students, you don't have to be Mother Teresa, the city in which I was born, but at least if you can change 10 lives, just like you can count 10 fingers in your 2 hands, that's what I expect you 5 years down the line when you graduate. It's an easy, low-hanging target from sales perspective. So yeah. It's more than education. It's the citizen, and America has to lead. And the rest of the world are looking to America and the markets. If you have to make money, you have to sell it to India, China, Vietnam, Latin America, Africa. So you've got to have that, the sense of global sense, also intercultural competencies.
Yeah, right. And I know my mentor at the time, Dr. Richard Bohr, who I know you know well, yes. About China, Asia in general. So I think he had a big impact in influencing and the curriculum and students to study and focus on China. And then, of course, with Paul Marsnick, I've been helping him with the Vietnam program, and I've met the E-Scholars group over there twice now, and I'll be talking to Paul actually after I talk to you today. So, and then with you in India, so that's amazing to see, because back in my day, 25 years ago, it was mostly just Europe. Those were the popular programs. Of course, we have the Japan program, a little bit smaller, but we didn't have India, we didn't have Australia, we didn't have anything like that. So now it's great to see how it's really expanded.
Correct. And that's very, very true, because the Global South, and Richard Bohr is one of my mentors. He's the one who encouraged me to get into full-time teaching when I first started here in 2007. And we see the markets in Asia are so huge, both India, China, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, a lot of business, a lot of population, a lot of opportunities, commerce and trade. And then we see Latin America, and next will be Africa. So we need to be, we need to know the world beyond Europe.
Right. No, that's so important. The global south, as you mentioned, I'm fascinated with Latin America and the African continent also, because just like you, I believe there's so much opportunity. So it'd be great to see how and what things develop there. And then you mentioned St. John's and St. Ben's. They do such a great job of the liberal arts education and then the values and the citizenship. After I left, and I've been impressed with so many Johnnies and Bennies that I meet in the Twin Cities and around the world. I think they're just the most amazing group of people. They're not always like, have the highest degrees in terms of like, East Coast or other prestige or something like that, but they have such good values, in terms of family, community, volunteering, the church. And so I come across so many impressive people over the years.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Monday we had, an alumni panel. 6 of our very recent alums joined. Somebody joined from Colombia, how his life has changed.
Oh.
Somebody is a big finance person now, and only 2-3 years he played football. But then he joined something called a Benedictine Volunteer Corps, in
Okay.
which after you graduate, the church sent them to around the world for 6 months to 8 months. So right now I just wrote a recommendation letter for students in Kenya for graduate studies. We have somebody in India, in Bangalore right now, doing a Benedictine Volunteer Corps. We had 3 students in Mexico doing that. So all over the world, when they go and do programs like that, even after they graduate and then they enter the corporate world, they're so much thoughtful and matured, and they want to make a difference. And that's what makes our school very unique, from many big Ivy League schools.
Yeah. And then I think that personal touch, since it is a small liberal arts school, you get in touch with your professors. Here I have a good relationship with you, Dr. Bohr, Paul Marsnick. And so after college, you have that connection, that professional development, and the encouragement, and then that mentorship that continues on the rest of your life. So it's great to see in those relationships build at small schools like St. John's and St. Ben's. Now, you mentioned you worked as a professor about 15 years now. What were some of the maybe career highlights, or you can talk about, I think you're part of that international business program, maybe a little bit about that and what that involves.
Yeah, I now head the Academy of International Association of International Business Research and Practice, where every year almost 700 professors, we go to this conference where you have international business, international marketing, case studies, we all meet. So I was fortunate enough to be part of that. One of my mentors, who was a former professor here, David Hunger, put me into that. And ever since, I've gone every year since 2010. So that is one of the things now, taking over the leadership role of this institution, being an immigrant, being a foreigner who speaks and talks differently in one of the prestigious and the largest department. That has been a big blessing for me too, at a personal level. And I feel my job is to bring a sense of global citizenship among all our majors and minors and students we come across. Also lifting the prestige as well as the rigor in the business disciplines, also connecting with other disciplines so that they are not only focused in business, maintaining a sense of community among students, co-workers, and a sense of friendship, a joy that everybody feels coming to work every day. I think that will be the biggest highlight in my 17 years at St. John's, that everybody in our department, it's like one family.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Are there any current projects you're working on, or any events that you're looking forward to, or trips or field studies, anything like that you want to share and touch upon?
Yes, the upcoming trip to India with the India Study Abroad, we are very excited about it. It's first of its kind in the university, this embedded program, in which they're doing part of studies of 2 credit here and then 2 credit while traveling and learning, experiential learning, global thinking. So that's something very exciting. Every week we have some events. Monday we had this alum event where alums connected all over the world to talk to our students. We had 200 students there. The Friday prior to that, the Benny's in Business hosted a very good event in the town because I'm involved with the business community in a big way, especially with Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation, along with other startup companies. The Benny's in Business hosted a great business with developed some leadership for the women, especially. So these are which happened just in one week, and there are multiple of these events. We host various speakers who comes. We had the Visa Vice President coming and talking in our campus. We had the Chief Technical Officer of 3M talking in our classes 2 weeks back. So getting these, then I think the biggest highlight in last few months will be when I met this professor from MIT. He came to deliver a lecture in our economics department, which is called as it's one of the lecture series by one of the big families who is sponsoring that for 35 years. Clements Lecture. Professor Simon Johnson was the person from MIT. That was 23rd. He gave the big lecture on 24th. He spoke to 3 of our classes in business. He just gave an introduction for 10 minutes, make the students speak and have an interaction, just like a normal teacher, normal professor, such a down-to-earth guy. And 3 weeks after that, he won this year Nobel Prize of Economics.
Oh,
It has
wow.
been spectacular, and I wrote to him, thanking him that night, and he wrote back to me in LinkedIn in acknowledging that at 6 a.m.
Oh, what amazing.
It's been
Yeah.
an amazing highlight for me during all these 15, 17 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. I know you probably pay attention to the news and doing different types of readings. Is there any a book recommendation that maybe influenced you, or something you want to share that kind of was top of mind for you?
Sure. And the book which I would definitely recommend is Heart of Business by Hubert Joly, which many of you might be knowing. He was the CEO of Best Buy when Best Buy was in big trouble in 2014-15. He came out from a travel and tourism companies, Carlson Group of companies, a Minnesota base. Best Buy was almost thinking of going private. The shares were falling. They were not able to compete against Amazon. First day in his job, he came to the St. Cloud store and worked with the Geek Squad and created the Geek Squad. So it was spectacular how that CEO turned around a company like Best Buy in 3 years. Now he's a professor of marketing in Harvard, and he wrote this book, Heart of Business. He's
Heart
a
of
Frenchman, and he basically says that you really got to put your heart on your employees. You got to do what you need to do, as an employee, even if you're the top CEO. So that has been one of the best recommended book I will tell anybody to read when it comes to leadership style. It's a servant leadership style.
I
And
see.
talking about that, I will put a little plug. Our school, our 2 universities are planning to have a leadership center or institute. We are working very diligently. So within, by this coming summer, we'll have a leadership institute which will bring all the business departments together, and we will do a lot of continuous education leadership and others. But that leadership model will be based on the Benedictine value and servant leadership.
Oh, very interesting. I didn't know about this. Okay. All right. Now, before we go, Kingshuk, is there anything, maybe some aspect that's interesting about you that most people don't know about that you would want to share, or something like that? Maybe you have a hobby or...
Yeah, of course, growing up in India, cricket, we call it, is a religion that is good. And then I think when my company, Prestige, the first company was in Atlanta, I accidentally came across people who are basically in music industry in Atlanta. And that was kind of interesting to see how that side of the world works. The music industry,
Oh.
in which, they're going from studios to studio, the lifestyle they have, at the same time, the creativity they do. And it was through one friend I knew and whole network of people there when I will go to Atlanta and have my board meetings with my partners back in the days. That was 2014-15. So that was kind of a good experience for me to see. We are in university setup, we do business, we learn business, But even people who are street smart or who learn from the streets, how they understand business, how some of them are talented, and they go from studio to studio, which was like I had never had an idea if I did not come across those group of people and what goes behind the scene.
Yeah, interesting perspective and experience. I didn't know anything about that either. So, okay, well, thank you so much, Kingshuk. It's been a pleasure to connect with you and to hear the latest and greatest and things that are happening with you and with the colleges. So, thank you very much.